So basically, season 1 is its own self-contained story where we go through all the games and our hero decides to go back to try to stop them by submitting to another game. Seasons 2 and 3 are basically season 2 split up in two halves because we have the first few games in the second season and the remaining games in the third season, all following our hero trying to do what's right, at least in the second season. So, was this season overall poppin'? Last week, I had told you guys that I wasn't too into the show because of the story. They're getting rid of my favorite characters too fast, and I wanted fun, and the show wasn't really fun for me anymore. Then I finished the show, and I'm going to tell you right now, the show is poppin'. I dug that final season, if you want to call it the final season. And I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm sure you've heard some things about an American remake that made by David Fincher, which I don't think is going to happen. But there is supposed to be an American remake. And that's really all we officially know, is that Netflix wants to make an American adaptation of this show. But let's talk about the final season of the Korean original. Overall poppin'. The pros are that the remaining games are very cool. I don't want to spoil them, but when I saw the jump rope one, super sick, I got very hype. I also like the metaphor of how social classes and society bases many humans down to animals that look out for themselves, and how what appears to be specifically Americans in the hats and being like, oh, a baby. Well, maybe the baby will die next, and then I'll have better chances of making my money. They all sound like that, exactly like that. No, they sound worse. They sound way more annoying. It makes me hate being an American because they suck in the show, of course. Anyways, they revel in witnessing the society crumbling before them for their own financial gain. And it was cool how we saw that reflect in the series because, metaphors and blah, blah, blah. But the cons are that the humans that choose to be humans are likable, fun, and full of heart are taken out first. And I reported that last time. Sure, we knew that the Squid Games had to result in most players dying and we'd eventually lose everyone interesting, but they sort of jumped the shark on us losing the more interesting ones, especially because our protagonist is super depressing since the second season's finale when some guy died that the audience barely knew. I hated that cliffhanger. He is seriously in a trance for the first couple episodes of this season. It's kind of annoying. But I also didn't like the fact that we barely see the front man since season 2. He's literally only seen looking at screens and sipping whiskey 90% of season 3. It's very annoying. I did like the final scene of the series, especially with the random cameo and potential at a future specific series. I'm definitely down to see if another series can continue this, because 3 seasons of what we got, which was season 1 and 2 half seasons, doesn't seem like enough. I feel like the creator opened a door for a future Squid Game, maybe? Even though he claimed he didn't, and he ended the way he did because he wasn't sure how to make the show last. That's how I felt. When I found out that they were doing another season of Squid Game and they announced the release dates, they announced season 2 coming out this date, and season 3 and the final season coming out this date. I'm like, oh, you're ending it already? You weren't too confident that you were going to have more? I don't know. A lot of overseas series, though, they usually last only 3 seasons. For instance, The Office was 2 seasons and a Christmas special, I believe, or 3 seasons and a Christmas special. There's a lot of overseas TV that's only 3 seasons long. But this, you could have made this 5 seasons and everyone would have watched it. Now, if you don't watch the show, watch the final scene, because it is interesting. Where are we going to go with this? We all have an idea of where that is, and I hope it happens. So again, it is poppin'. It's probably my least favorite season. I even like season 2 more than season 3. It was just more fun. We had more fun characters. 3 is a little too serious, but it's okay. In fact, he had a different idea of how to end it. The creator did. Look up an interview with him. He goes really into his original intent for the series and why it ended up where it ended up and what the ending means to him and what he expects from Netflix. So check out Squid Game seasons 1 through 3 on Netflix right now. Another season of television that I finished was The Bear from Hulu. I know you've heard me talk a lot of shit about The Bear. Even though I think it's a fine show, I just hated last season. I hated it. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first season, to be honest, but I watched it and powered through because everyone raved about it. And I was like, yeah, I worked in the food industry for a few months. It fucking sucks. And it replicated that very well, the first season. Replicated it so well that I didn't want to watch the series because everyone was miserable with good reason. I don't want to watch a show about people living in misery. I want to see a show about people striving for what their potential could come up with next. Season 2 really showcased that very well. Season 3 seemed like just a waiting game until the next season. And that's what we got with this one. We had people actually grow up, but it took a few episodes to go down that route. Because last week I told you guys that The Bear was still super boring and we're still dealing with the same shit. But literally the next episode that I watched after last week was awesome. So, poppin' or not, Season 4 is popping. Way better than Season 3. Just way better. Sydney finally makes a decision and people grow, which is nice, including Lip. I keep forgetting his name. I know it's Bear, but like he has a name in the show and I can't remember what it is. I always call him Lip. Jeremy Allen White's his real name. I cannot think. Anyways, still a lot of the same shit, but again, this season got better than last, which felt like pure filler bullshit. We got returning cameos and a few new faces as well, like, spoiler alert, Danielle Deadweiler, Rob Reiner, and Brie fucking Larson, who's actually very hilarious in the episode she's in. This season also featured some of the best episodes of the series, including episode 4 entitled Worms, which centered around Sydney, which is Ayo Edebiri, sorry for mispronouncing her name's character. She also co-wrote the show with Jacenzo Bravo. And also, bravo to that episode. One of those standalone episodes that we love, like the last one, that one last season featuring the flashback where she goes into the bear back when John Barenthal's character was alive. I am not the best reviewer because I'm not talking about character and motivation as much as I should. But the motivation of this show is for you to go fuck yourself. The other great episode of this season was episode 7, episode 7, Bears, the wedding episode. Most people that I ran into that watches the series has made it at least this far. It's episode 7 of the season. So people been binging the shit out of this show, but they agreed. Best episode of the season. Probably my favorite episode of the show in general, because we get the bears back. And the last time we saw this many bears, it didn't end out very well. It was a very tense situation. This one, it's a feel-good episode. It's a feel-good season. I'm not saying that you need to take out all the stressors, because don't worry, there are some stressful situations in this season, but they got a lot of heart and a lot of realization and a lot of self-reflection. And I dig that. I dig it. I dig it with my hands and my eyes. And I say poppin' all the times. You can check this out on Hulu. I recommend it, especially if you're in the food industry. And yes, you will be saying, yes, chef, a lot. Also wanted to mention that I am caught up with Smoke. And I told you guys that the first half of the episode was intriguing. I like the darkness of it. And if you don't remember what it's about, when an arson investigator begrudgingly teams up with a police detective, the race to stop two arsonists ignites a twisted game of secrets and suspicions. New episodes are on Apple TV Plus on Fridays. You can watch the first 3 episodes right now. And they reveal something at the end of episode 2, which is what I had suspected, because there's one of the starring characters in this show is very odd, very peculiar. And if you pay attention to the opening scene, you will know that it's a little hint at who at least one of the arsonists is. Taron Egerton is very good in this, a little odd and very good. And Journey Smollett is fantastic, very good, badass, and she does something fucking batshit crazy in one of the episodes. And I dig it. I am very excited to see where the show ends up. I think this will be a miniseries. I'd be shocked if this lasted more than a season. But I dig it. I think that this show is going to end with one of these two dying. And if enough people ask, they may make a season 2 starring one of these two characters, and I'd be down for that. Check it out on Apple TV Plus.